on when she gets here, right?
Yeah.
All right, so I'm going to pretty much wrap up my presentation from last month
I know.
on environmental refugees. This was the title by then. It's still part of the May date, and so we were already, after going through some of those initial definitions of multiple concepts and migration, then refugees, environmental refugees, and that sort of things. We started to address some examples of some of the things that different regions of the world are experiencing, mostly concentrated on those over there on the right-hand side.
I think, there are people here who were not here. I think you better read through them real quick just so that they have a chance to ask questions if they need to.
Okay, well, I think the basic concept here is that we wanted to address the aspect of global warming on migration, and particularly on environmental refugees, people that are obliged to move because of environmental aspects occurring at home and making it pretty much impossible or nearly impossible for them to continue having a living at home. And therefore they start moving along, whether it is internally within their own country, or they have to seek a way out to a different country. And mostly the effects of the climate change that are causing this migration is these ones over here: desertification, drought, floods, that cause at the same time lack or loss of food production, and with that famine, and therefore the mass migration expected from there. But there are also some other aspects related to that, such as consequences over the economics of a country. Water scarcity is one of the big issues as well. Pandemias, this is widespread of different diseases, and so all these causes people to move, and with that, the big question: what happens to that people, right? There is a lot of people trying to estimate what the consequences of all these climate change effects will be on with regards to migration. And depending on what sources you look at, you will find estimates that may go from a few hundred thousands of people expected to move over the next 20-30 years because of reasons related to climate change, all the way up to billions of people. And this is just a table we had put out there last month to look at a broad view of what kind of figures we may look at towards the future. Some of these things are already happening, and going into examples. This is the way the world is looking today as far as dry land or desert land. But that is the way it looks, or it is expected to look like towards the 2100. It is estimated that more than a third of the world's land area will become desert, and with all that.
You know what that means? I can't read that.
Right. That is the brown one. No, I'm sorry, can't read. It's not very clear. But But it is the brown one is areas expected to have some water stress of some level. Not exactly desert land, but having some periods of dryness.
So like the entire northern part of South America and the entire United States, some being desert?
A good part of the United States, yes.
From California to us.
To the New York Islands?
It's
Not Vermont.
It's probably I don't know. It's a scenario that's considered a little bit towards the extreme, because if you see there, it is with a 4 Celsius degree
That sounds like pretty well.
warming effect, right?
It's actually gonna happen.
Currently, everybody is trying to be optimistic and look at only a 2 Celsius degree warming effect, although.
We're not doing anything to
Oh,
stop.
right. So some of those researchers looking at what's being done and the trends currently over CO2 emissions, the CO2 levels going already above 400 parts per million, and they are saying that maybe just a warming effect of 2 Celsius degree will not be it. It will be most likely something higher than that. So again, this is a 4 Celsius degree warming effect towards 2100, and so yes, it is. It looks pretty doom situation. And so going back again towards some more specific examples by regions of the world and what's happening, because one of the things that we also mentioned last time is that these effects by climate change are not going to be even across the world. Some regions or some countries will suffer more of warming effect than others, as well as the consequences on changes with regards to rainfall also will be different. Some countries may even benefit from some of these effects, and some other regions will experience more flooding than others, and so that's why we wanted to go on and address different regions by what more specific effects they are expected to experience. So for the Middle East, it is very hot environments. If we look at what kind of weather there is in there, usually we all think of a dry and hot kind of climate. Well, it's going to get even warmer. And as a matter of fact, just last month, that same week, we heard of record temperatures, high temperatures in Pakistan. That week, it was still the last week of April, and what they were saying is that for that temperature to be recorded in April, that means that they can expect even much hotter temperatures for the summertime, and with that, it can be a catastrophe. I'm sorry, I need to remind everybody, I'm trying to rush through these because I have 30 minutes allotted time to wrap up my presentation from last month. So, but anyways, if there is any questions or comment, we can maybe quickly address that. Water stress is one of the things that are already happening, and more and more countries are suffering from droughts, and with that, water scarcity is what is referred to by water stress. I don't know if any of you are aware of or has heard of the situation in South Africa, but Cape Town was supposedly running out of water by April last month, and I think they did some almost last minute adjustments, but the bottom line is for a city like that, they already are experiencing water scarcity in big time. Last thing I remember reading is that pretty much there was no water in most households. Out of something like 70 or 80% of those households that still had running water but before that. So people need to come out to the street to stations to get some water. This is today. This is 2018, and that's the situation. And it doesn't look like it will get any better, right? With this forecast for what may come. Looking at Asia, this organization, Climate Central, has put out some concerns, some reports, and with regards to the number of people that will be affected by climate change and different of these effects, and particularly looking at cities. And what they pointed out is that all Asian countries take top positions in the data when they look at cities that are likely to be affected by global warming. 6 of those countries have the largest population affected by sea level rise, are China, Vietnam, India, Indonesia, Bangladesh, and Japan. All of those countries are going to be already being affected by sea level rise because they have very low lands, and so they are very prone to increased sea level. Look at this, over 200 million people in those countries live on land that will be affected, and that is just a list of some of those countries reported by this organization. As you can see, most of them are Asian countries, but look at that, US is included there, as well as Brazil and obviously Netherlands. Netherlands is traditionally a country that's been reclaiming land from the sea. In East Asia, 23 cities on the coast are home to that are home to more than 1 million people. 14 are in China, 6 in Japan, 3 in Korea, and it is estimated that about 12 million people will be affected by sea level rise, with a cost in economic assets of that figure, $864 billion. And also another interesting figure up there on the right hand side, for every 30 centimeters, which is roughly just shy of 1 foot of sea level rise, 45 meters of coastal land in those areas will erode or will get lost. There will be no chance, or it will become just not usable for arable purposes or production of food and some other things. So this other one, that is a figure that startled me. Coasts are expected to recede about 6 meters per year. And again, this is something that's already happening. So it may not be perceived that easily, but for those living up there or for those visiting every few years those places, that is certainly something that can be a little more easily noticed. Some of the things, nearly 88% of the world's rice supply is produced in those lowlands of South and Southeast Asia, and those are areas of land that are again more likely to suffer from floods and sea level rise. It is estimated that by 2050, the production of rice will decrease by up to 15% worldwide, and prices will obviously increase by about that much. The interesting thing here to point out, at least to me, is the fact that we are looking at an estimation for a decreased production of rice because in terms of yield, and at the same time, with the population growth in the world, we are also in need to increase food production, and particularly for staples such as rice. That is a very dire situation right there. For every degree centigrade increase in global temperature, it is expected to cause a 10% drop in yield for rice, and this is average. And yet, the example here for the Philippines, the estimation is rather 15% for every 1 Celsius degree increase. And again, how many Celsius degrees are we expecting to see within the next 30 years? 2, right? And then towards the end of the century, even 4 Celsius degrees. So that points at something really catastrophic.
Well, not only that, but the increase in carbon dioxide, the nutrition in the rice goes down.
Right, right. And hey, I think this is something that should not really be surprising, because even though the plants may show some level of adaptation to increasing temperatures, they are still under some degree of stress, and with that there has to be a cost somewhere, and one of those, it just makes perfect sense. The plant may not have all the resources needed to maintain same level of yield as we're discussing, but also that quality, nutritionally speaking. Bangladesh is another example that's put out there, mostly because this is how the country is laid out in the Bay of Bengal, as it is called, and it is a good part of its land, very, very low land. I think it is something like 3 meters above sea level, about a third or something like that of its land area, and being within the deltas of 2 very important rivers, then that makes it not only susceptible to sea level rise, but also the effects of big time floods with high rains. And Dhaka, the capital of the country, says about 3.5 million people, which is, look at that, about 40% of the country's population. And one of the things about Dhaka is that it is the place where most of those internally displaced people within the country are moving into, and what this causes is a total overwhelm of the city's ability to offer and procure services to that population. So that is a very, very difficult situation. Here's another thing for a very poor country such as Bangladesh. Bangladesh is amongst the poorest countries in the world. Again, depending on what sources you read or consult, usually Bangladesh, when you discuss poverty levels, is put as number one. All right, so China is already seeing effects on water scarcity. China is the largest producer of wheat as well as consumer, and they have a great deal of impact on the international market for these kind of staples. And as we discussed last month, it had to do with China, what happened during the Arab Spring. India is another country that is expected to suffer consequences of water scarcity, and they very well known as an example, the farmers in India have been increasing the rates of suicides. In a good part, this is spiking after crop failures, and because of these erratic climates with big floods and then droughts, crops fail more and more, and then is when you see farmers committing suicide at much higher rates. And this is something that is not expected, but just to get worse as far as those climatic conditions being a lot more unpredictable. Deadly typhoons is also another aspect. Countries affected primarily by typhoons. This is the way they call hurricanes down in the south hemisphere, as we recall. Yeah, I'm sorry. This is just to show that here at home we're already seeing some of those effects, and Miami is perhaps one of the most common examples. Just last year we had Irma hurricane that caused tremendous chaos down South Florida, and I was at a meeting in Orlando a couple of months ago, and one of the persons there gave a presentation on what they did. This was related to the state veterinarian's office, the Department of Agriculture for Florida, and he showed this slide, and the number there was very shocking to me. It's, almost 7 million people were evacuated from their homes.
Was this nationally or from Florida?
No, just South Florida, Miami.
Just
from Miami. And the way he described all these, look at this. This side, the way out is just full. It's just bumper to bumper, and on the way in, it was all empty. That's one of the lessons learned that they had, because then they. Anyways, they just learned something from that will get them a little better prepared for some future occasions when they need to evacuate those areas. Sea level rise. This is Shanghai. It's a coastal city. It is expected to suffer a lot of land loss because they will be under sea level, as well as Miami. That's the way it is predicted Miami may look in 30 to 50 years. So a good part on the water. Every time it rains in Miami, there are some streets that flood. This is today, and they've been seeing an increase in this trend. some aspects that are really kind of shocking. Poor countries like the Philippines are continually battered by impacts of climate change, despite being among the countries that contribute the least to it. That's sad. And I'm sorry, I'm running out of time. But one of the big issues today when we discuss environmental refugees is what to do with them and how to accept them, because legally speaking the concept of environmental refugee or climate refugee is not very well defined and accepted worldwide, and just that little caveat makes a whole legal mess, and nobody knows from that standpoint what to do with environmental refugees. And in just a few words, some of the things that are proposed to do is to work with the Geneva Convention, precisely among some of the things, just to work and bring an acceptable, well-defined concept for environmental refugees. And this is a good example of political refugee. Those are well accepted, and they get a lot of help. Not a lot of help necessarily, but they do get help. Almost everywhere they go and seek
Those were even recognized as.
But climate refugees, right, do not, because their definition is not recognized yet. And there is also the cultural backslash, and there is the populism. There is what was the concept? There is refugee fatigue or something like that. It is called, which basically